In this video we're going to look at research problems. We're just going to focus in on issues that cause a problem when conducting research. So quite a narrow topic and hence quite a short video. We're going to look at a number of these and we'll take them through just numerically. So we'll take the first one. Researchers should be adequately trained in research methodology. That's a problem. Whenever conducting research, the researchers must be trained on what is required to conduct the research adequately. This means that they should be aware of, let's say it's a questionnaire, how to administer the questionnaire, how to navigate the questionnaire, how to move from one section to the next, and if prompts are required, how to give the prompt to the respondent so as not to bias the results, to bias what is fed back from the respondent. So researchers should be adequately trained. They should be completely familiar with the subject, completely familiar with the questions and the sequence of the questions and the wording of the questions, and should be able to prompt or help respondents, if necessary, in a way which does not bias the results. So researchers need to be trained adequately. Secondly, there may be suspicion amongst businesses that information supplied in research may be misused. Businesses in particular are careful about what information they give out. The information could be useful to competitors, for example, or it may be useful for certain pressure groups. So businesses are very careful about what information is released, and conducting business research is therefore quite a complicated matter. Businesses may wish to maintain secrecy about many aspects of their business. Next, care must be taken to ensure that research studies do not overlap. Sometimes it can happen. It could happen in business if the business is conducting a survey into customer feelings about the business. It's investigating the customer perceptions of the business, and at the same time it's conducting some market research into a particular product. Now both of these may overlap. It may mean the respondents are contacted twice, and that's going to lead to fatigue and frustration. They're wasting time. All they're doing is filling out questionnaires for this company, and it could actually alienate them from the product and from the business, because it shows that the business was not careful in selecting the respondents. It shows that the business may be quite slap happy about its processes, and therefore doesn't show a quality side to the business, a professional side to the business. So care should be taken when research studies could overlap, and perhaps respondents are contacted more than once and they would feel somewhat frustrated. The researchers should understand the significance of the research so that they may act professionally. It's important, and it relates to the first one of the earlier points. Researchers should be trained completely, but they must act professionally as well. If they're not familiar with the product, or they're not familiar with the process, they look like they're not professional. And this means that the respondents will not respect them, will not give well thought out responses. So the researchers should look professional and should act professional and should be completely aware of the product, the processes, and the issues surrounding the product. The researchers should also be able to put the respondents at ease. They should be able to allay any fears the respondents may have, and conduct the research in an efficient manner. The next problem, number 5, is the role of research as a decision aid. Now, this must be widely understood throughout the organization. Ignorance of the significance of research may lead to non-cooperation or misleading responses. In either case, decisions based on the research may damage the business. So it's important that the researcher understands and communicates the importance of the research. And this should be understood right throughout the organization. This is very important work because it is gaining an insight into the market. Perhaps it's gaining a view of what customers want from the product, or what the customer needs are and how they're changing. It's picking up information on trends in the market and fashion changes and so on. And this is very important because this is where products can be designed and delivered to meet those needs. And without those changes, there will not be a business. So it's important that the research is understood and the importance of the research is understood, so that there will be more cooperation and less misleading responses on the part of the respondents, and also within the organization. The managers within the organization appreciate the significance of the research. Next, an institution-wide code of conduct for researchers will lead to more confidence in the process. There must be consistency, in other words. The researchers must be trained together. If there are several researchers going to be used in a particular research exercise, they should be trained together. They should be consistent. It would be wrong if one of the researchers was completely au fait with the subject, completely up to speed with what the product is and what it does, the pricing, the production, customer needs, and another researcher has no idea. The mismatch would be too much, and the information coming back would be virtually useless, a waste of time. It's important that the researchers have the same background and training and understanding, so that there is consistency in the exercise. I'm assuming here, of course, that there are a number of researchers. Sometimes only one researcher will undertake small surveys, and that one researcher that is consistent, providing that one researcher is trained in the needs of the organization, the products, the types of the type of products the organization makes, and so on. There would obviously be consistency. There is just one researcher. But where there are several, it's important that there is consistency. There should be supporting facilities, such as secretarial and computing facilities. These should be in place and ready to analyze the data. There's also a need to access supporting materials, and these are usually obtained from libraries. However, proper use of library facilities requires properly trained researchers. The researchers need to know what the libraries have got and what they can get. There may be time delays in requesting materials, so the researchers should be skilled in using libraries. And as for the computing facilities and secretarial facilities, these should be in place. There should be a small research budget, and it should itemize the resources that are required for the activity. Computing resources, for example, may need specialized personnel, and if the materials sought were quantitative, there may be a need for technical staff to interpret the statistical material that was collected. But as I said, a small budget, perhaps, research budget, may be what's required here to itemize what is necessary and to ensure that it's in place. Lastly, research involving secondary data may require manipulating to derive specific data, to derive this specific data that is necessary. So secondary data is data usually published by the government, but it may be published by industries or professional associations. It may be data collected in past pieces of research which have been published. This means that the company or the research organization does not have to get the data firsthand. It's secondary. Generally speaking, if it's published by the government, it will relate to the whole country or to particular regions or to whole industries. It doesn't, generally speaking, break down into very small amounts or into very small sectors that would be very useful for particular businesses. It gives an overview, perhaps, of the industry or of particular regions, generally speaking, so that this information is useful to all companies in an industry. It could be used to benchmark individual companies' performance. For example, if it's known how well the industry is doing, then it's possible to compare that with the performance of an individual company. So the company can benchmark itself against the industry. Generally speaking, finding secondary sources takes time, and if it's a specialized secondary source, libraries may be involved, as I said earlier, and this may take time as well, and specialist skills are required to use libraries effectively. But there are many sources of secondary data, but the secondary data will have to be processed. The secondary data usually is just tables of data, and then specialists will have to work out whatever statistics are required. What's the average output per company? What's the cost of raw materials over the last 5 years, and how have they changed, and so on. So this information would have to be taken out of the secondary data, extracted from it, and processed separately. And to do that, specialist personnel would be required. So we've identified 8 problems with research. I'm sure if you research the material yourselves and perhaps go online and see what you can find, you might be able to add some more to this. But I think what we've got here are the main points, and certainly issues that need to be considered when looking at sample surveying and looking at the whole process of primary research. That's all I'm going to do for the moment, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.